Hello and welcome to The Studio Demands It, an exercise in creative thinking where we will conceptualize, pitch, and craft a film or series based on the demands from one of you listeners acting as a hypothetical Hollywood overlord. As professional screenwriters ourselves and massive cinephiles, we talk movies all the time. And we like to believe that we could meet any demand thrown at us. We'll be your screenwriters for this episode. I am TC DeWitt, and joining me, as always, is Jim Fudge Berzelik. Hey, Jim.
Hi.
How's it going? I had a different name down here for you, a conversation starter, but I went with Fudge instead.
I have a lot of middle names.
I guess I can go off it.
Jim, a conversation starter, Berzelik?
No, I had a different. I quickly jotted it down, and then for some reason went, Fudge.
It's because you want to talk about A Christmas Story.
Yes, I will talk about Christmas Story.
Darren McGavin, great actor or greatest actor?
I'm gonna go with great.
You're wrong.
Oh God. He's the old man, right?
Yeah.
He
is Kolchak the Night Stalker.
Is he?
Yeah.
You talk about that all the time.
I do talk about him all the time. I did not
realize that was him.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. That you do. You owe Fudge all the time.
I do.
And then you have to say, only I didn't say Fudge. Do you remember the first time you cursed? Like, do you have any memory of, or like an early memory of the first time you dropped like the F-bomb or like swore in the backyard or something?
No. I remember the first time I gave the finger, though.
Oh, mine's connected. Mine's the same day.
Oh.
I remember we were playing backyard baseball, and my sister tagged me out at first, and I put the middle finger in her face and went, and she told on me, and my dad was like, "Were you cussing?" I was like, "I don't know what that means." He's like, "Were you cussing?" What's cussing? Did you say the F word? I did. I saw a kid in the neighborhood do it.
That's pretty much how I was playing in the front yard, and a kid came up and gave me the finger. So I gave it back.
Ooh.
And that's what he did.
Oh,
I'm telling your dad.
You flicked me off first, boy.
And I said, my dad's not home.
Ooh, good comeback.
And then he said, well, I'm going to tell your mom. I said, well, you can't because we're leaving soon.
You were a mean little 16-year-old.
Mean? I was a perfectly nice 16-year-old.
You were defending yourself. How old were you?
And then I think I was maybe 6.
Oh, wow.
You can't tell him he's not home.
Yeah. And we were leaving, and I asked my mom, what does this mean? And she said, that's naughty, don't do that.
Oh, Jim, no! Eventually reached a point where, just like, you just cursing with your friends. This becomes part of the language.
I don't remember when it started. I think I started incorporating it into my writing in the 4th or 5th grade.
You're saying like hell and damn?
No.
You're dropping C words.
Yeah. Shit words and fuck words.
Whoa!
Yeah.
You're doing it now.
Yeah,
I'm telling your dad.
That's right. You can't. He's not home.
I'm telling your mom.
And we're leaving soon. I like that. That's a defense that you can't tattle on me. We're not going to be home.
We're leaving soon.
We're leaving soon. You won't have the time.
I had a whole presentation prepared.
And then like a year, I think maybe a year later, my parents found my short story folder.
Oh.
So, we had a talk.
Yeah. Naughty words.
Yeah.
And you know what? They told your dad.
Yep. When we were doing the voices for Misfit Heights, I wanted to incorporate more stuff like that. And so one character in particular swears up a storm in that movie. And several years later, now, I kind of regret that because at the time it felt really in place, and it felt funny to have a foul-mouthed character.
Yeah.
But now it feels out of place. Like I feel like you're watching the movie, and then suddenly all these swears start popping out for like a minute that the character's on screen. if even.
I
And like
Yeah.
and knowing a little more about ratings and stuff like that, like that one little bit kind of raises the rating of the movie a whole grade letter. And the thing is, at the time, right, 2008, 2012, even when it came out, that was still fun. That was in the spirit of how we meant it to be watched. And if I got it on something like Adult Swim, right, I think it would actually be a lot of fun hearing that scene bleeped.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. 100%. I'm glad you went there. I think
that'd be way more entertaining.
South
than
Park
the
was
swears themselves.
South Park was so much funnier when it was when they bleeped the kids.
Sure.
Now that they can just go blue and just have them curse, it's not as funny. I think bleeping is funnier than actually hearing the curse word. So
Sure.
you wanted to do that. For me personally, you create a whole new level of comedy by having this character being bleeped.
Yeah, right, because then it becomes funny, because then every time this character's on screen, the whole thing is just being bleeped rather than I have to sneeze.
Gesundheit. Well, thank you for sharing your cursing history with me. But why don't we go roll into the actual demand for today, which I don't know, probably doesn't have anything to do with cursing. We might make it.
I'll make it. I'll make it work.
We'll get an R rate. We'll get an R rating on this one. Okay. We're still in February, which is still. You said what? You can put a dress on it, but it's still a dump month.
I said you can put lipstick on it, but it's still a dump month, right? Because put lipstick on a pig, it's still a pig.
But there is an opportunity, because I did notice that there is something coming out, and I found 2 demands actually that reference it. The demand for today. Okay, we get demands from studios literally all over the world, and you listening now, you can send us any demand you like, and we will have to meet it right here on the spot. With whatever your stipulations are, we will try to craft a film here. And if we do our job correctly, we reach the end of the season, your demand could very well be the episode that is greenlit by our fans for the finale. So yeah, keep sending your demands in, and here we go. Today's demand comes from Caleb Tran from High Noonish Studios. Long-time listener, first-time studio. Very clever.
Excellent.
You're already winning us over here, Caleb. Anyone who knows the show knows Jim loves himself a Western.
I do. And
in that, we are alike. So, this demand is for you, partner.
That's me.
Although carte blanche isn't focused enough, so here's the demand. Using your love of Deadlands and the Weird West, and in the vein of Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, choose a historical moment or person, a historical moment and or person from the Wild West, and make it weird. Maybe this means you go back to Alien Frontier or Lone Ranger, or place a sequel within a historical moment. Maybe add werewolves even and tie it into the Lost Lands. Thanks, boys. So the Lost Lands you pointed out to me is Paul W.S. Anderson's new movie coming out, starring Dave Bautista and his wife Mila Jovovich.
Yep.
Jovovich? Yeah.
Jovovich.
And yeah, I watched the trailer, and it's very Dark Towery, gunslinger-ish.
Yeah. It's right up my alley.
Well, to that point, we also, so Caleb, thank you. We will address this in a moment. From Jackson Pull Yuck at Splattergore Studios. Paul W.S. Anderson's The Lost Lands is coming out, and all I can think is, how would SDI handle this? A sorceress travels to the Lost Lands in search of a magical power that allows a person to transform into a werewolf. Did not know that was the plot.
Nice.
Did you know that was the plot?
No.
Plot.
I knew there was a sorceress and something, and then a gunslinger is either hunting her or escorting her.
Yeah. It allows searching for a magical power that allows person to transform into a werewolf. Okay, thank you.
That's awesome.
Thank you, Jackson, for telling us what that's all about. But to Caleb's, maybe add werewolves. That explains that now. I understand that. Okay, so Weird West, Jim. This is right up your alley.
Yep.
The demand is specific to something, though. We do have a specific... Pick a historical moment and or person from the Wild West and make it weird.
Make it weird.
Yeah. So I like in the vein of Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, because I remember when that came out, and I don't think it did well, but I don't think it did badly. I think it came and went with very little reaction to it.
So, want to hear a terrible thing?
Oh.
I've not seen that.
Oh, that's
terrible. I've let everyone down. Caleb and Splattergore are just spitting with anger right now.
Well, you get the gist.
Yeah.
Abraham Lincoln secretly hunted vampires.
Yeah. Interestingly, I have a friend who did watch that, and he also watched the, I think, Asylum version, which was Vampire Hunter Abraham Lincoln.
There's an Asylum version of a movie that already sounds like an Asylum film.
Yes.
That's great.
And it's apparently better.
What? Wow.
At least in this friend's opinion.
Okay. Can this friend be trusted?
Okay.
That's
some of the time.
But Weird West. Okay. Now to just speak on the Lost Lands, I think I like Paul W.S. Anderson because he's a nerd who's committed to his filmmaking style and has succeeded somehow to continue to do that. I don't feel like he ever reaches further than he can. I think he did 7 Resident Evil movies. They trusted him with that franchise. It continued to make money. And unlike one of the people we discussed on this podcast previously that we have a lot of things to say about, negative mostly, but also whatever. I don't want to get on that hate train. It left the station. I didn't have a ticket.
Hate train, you say? I'm going to file that away.
Oh, no. I think Paul W. Anderson knows exactly what he can do, and he does it. And I think the first Resident Evil is the best one. I think it's also in the tier of best comic book or video game adaptations. Even though it does not use any of the characters from the game, he got the spirit of the game as far as I was concerned.
Oof. The Resident Evil fans I know would not agree with you.
They would hate me for it.
Yes,
in fact, that opinion has been my hot take.
They're so angry they're spitting. They're spitting right now.
But to seeing the Lost Lands trailer, it looked really green screeny volume.
It did.
It looked, and that is unfortunate because Paul W. Anderson has tended to film on real sets and have a good mix of practical effects, and the Lost Lands does not.
No.
It looks like, what was the Monster Hunter one that he did?
Yeah.
The Monster Hunter, right?
Monster Hunter, yeah.
That one also was like, oh no, you've lost your way, dude. You're just doing the volume. And
it might just be the studios demanding that he cut back on those things and use those types of special effects.
Yeah. But all that said, seeing a Weird West, like Westerns are tough. We've discussed this on the show multiple times. It's a genre that people just can't get on board with anymore. And it takes a special case to get attention. You get your Django Unchained, but that's because Tarantino did it, not because it was a Western.
Django Unchained was a Southern.
Yes, you're right. According to Mr.
Hateful Eight is a Western.
Yeah, and but Jim, this is your area. So how do you feel about Caleb's demand here?
It's a good demand.
Yeah.
The first place I go is it's not a real person. It's Pecos Bill.
Yes.
Doing the first thought is a live action telling of Pecos Bill's adventures.
Yeah, and for those of you who might not be familiar with Pecos Bill is likened to Paul Bunyan and John Henry Irons. He's an American folklore character. He was raised by wolves or coyotes, so he howls at the moon. He lassoed a tornado.
He lassoed a tornado. Yeah. He killed a panther when he was just a baby.
Just a baby.
I think he was.
Yep,
he tied a rattlesnake into a knot.
Yep.
What did he do to the Colorado River?
Or
the Rio Grande. I forget which.
He lassoed the Rio Grande.
He just lassoed everything.
He straightened it out.
That's what it was. Yeah.
He made it flow because it was all tied up.
Yeah, and I will admit, most of what I know about it is from the Disney cartoon.
The Disney cartoon, which is going to be probably Melody Time or Fun and Fancy Free, one of the packaged films of the 40s. 40s, 50s era. He had Widowmaker the horse, which was very jealous of Pecos Bill getting married and bounced her to the moon, which he still howls at to this day. He invented branding and lassoing.
Oh.
Yeah, calf roping was invented by Pecos Bill. Yeah. He was raised by coyotes. Yeah. Near the Pecos River. Yeah. Oh, he also rode a mountain lion and used a rattlesnake to lasso. Yeah, as you said. Yeah. So he's an American folk hero. So you're thinking Pecos Bill is our fictional.
That's my first thought. Yeah. Like that's the character where we would do a movie about. I don't know how it wouldn't just be the equivalent of Disney doing a live action version of any of their animated stuff.
Well, make it weird. Him, like the things we've discussed. That's good. Okay, this is the history of this character. But now, is he going to fight werewolves? Is he going to fight were-coyotes? Like all that stuff works for the myth of Pecos Bill, but something like just immediately jump in on this. I would suggest that's all occur. That's your opening credits of the movie that explains the legend of Pecos Bill. And now, after what was her name? Pecos Bill's love. It'll come to me.
Something Betty, I think.
She was. I'm going to remember it. I'll remember it. After she was bounced to the moon, he just went back to the coyotes and howls at the moon. Like he stopped being a hero. Slewfoot Sue.
Slewfoot Sue. There you go.
Yeah. I knew it was in there somewhere.
Yep, you found it.
Because her what's the thing that women put on their
bustle?
Bustle was too bouncy. Anyway, after Slewfoot Sue went into the moon, he went back to the coyotes, and that's where he stayed, howling at the moon. So if all that legend can be done rather swiftly, now the movie can begin and basically drag Pecos Bill out of retirement to fight some were-coyotes. Is that weird enough for you?
No. Because the thing is, he's already weird. So it would be a fantastical fantasy western, and that would be a lot of fun. I'm thinking, I'm pivoting to something like Wyatt Earp. Like imagine retelling Tombstone, but the cowboys aren't just the cowboys. They're actually, and in fact, the gang isn't even as big as it seems. It's not a gang of 30 men. It's a gang of 5. They keep dying. The reason the town is called Tombstone wasn't just because. So, do you know the story of why Tombstone is called Tombstone?
I did a book report on Wyatt Earp in the 4th grade and dressed up like him with a big old fake mustache.
Nice.
So, but please, why is Tombstone called Tombstone?
So the guy who originally owned the silver mine outside the town, he owned 2 silver mines, and I forget what town they were originally in, but people said that those aren't you're not gonna get anything out of there. They're gonna be the death of you. And so he named one Tombstone, and the other, I think he named like Graveyard. I forget what it was called.
Yeah.
But they were both references to basically dark jokes to them not playing out and not paying out. And it turns out the silver mine outside of Tombstone actually was very lucrative. That the boom town of Tombstone blew up around it.
All right. Okay.
But in this case, it would be because the land is cursed, and the people who get buried there,
little Pet Cemetery action here,
keep coming back. So, what was his name? I can't remember the leader of the Cowboys' name
in the story of Tombstone.
In history, yes.
I'm sorry, the gang that he fought in Tombstone.
The gang that he fought in Tombstone was called the Cowboys. They wore red sashes. So all the characters in the movie Tombstone, those were real people.
Newman Hayes.
Old
Man Clanton.
Clanton.
Newman Haynes Clanton. Old Man was the patriarch of the Clanton family and the de facto leader of the Cowboys, a loose group of cattle rustlers, stagecoach robbers, and outlaws. After Old Man Clayton was killed in an ambush in 1881, leadership fell to his son, Ike Clayton.
Ike. That's who I was.
And Billy Clayton. So I would say Ike and Billy could be the.
Billy was played by Thomas Hayden Church.
Oh, and Johnny Ringo was.
Oh no, Ike Clanton was Stephen Lang. I forgot. I didn't know Stephen Lang was in it. Powers Booth played Curly Bill Brocious. Curly Bill. That's at least in the movie he was sort of the big bad.
Mm-hmm. Well, when you have Powers Booth, you let him be in charge.
So I think that's sort of my first thought is well, I guess second thought. The first thought was Pecos Bill.
Yeah. But Wyatt Earp.
And doing something weird with Wyatt Earp.
Well, some fun things I remember about Wyatt Earp that I've carried with me since that 4th grade book report. He was never shot or stabbed. Like he didn't have a scar on his body from any. He had no battle wounds his entire life. And so the legend was he bulletproof, like he had to have been shot once. I mean, he went into Tombstone and Dodge City and did not go. He gave up on Deadwood. Actually, that might be fun to if you want to use Tombstone and that gang as the Cowboys and I like your Curse of Tombstone. There is something to have Deadwood being maybe that's the sequel movie going to Deadwood and it's called that for a specific reason. But it's just funny that like after he cleaned up 2 of the most violent cities in America, he spent like all of a month in Deadwood and was like, I can't fix this. I'm too old for this shit. I'm leaving. So is it the lawman Wyatt Earp and his brothers? They are cleaning up the town and they come across this gang that won't die. Are they undead?
Yeah, that's my thought. Or if we want it to be more Lost Land style, they're werewolves. And so it doesn't matter if they get shot dead because they didn't get shot dead with a silver bullet.
Bullets, okay. So then Wyatt Earp having to figure this out. Like, now in Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, he's been hunting vampires since he was a kid. Like this is something. It's not something he happens upon in the movie. It's something he's been doing. So do we want to suggest that Wyatt Earp has been cleaning up the West?
I just realized what I've done.
What's that?
Yeah, I mean, there are stories that have done this already, that have turned that Wyatt Earp is a demon hunter. The show Winona Earp.
Oh, yeah.
Was about his great-great-great-granddaughter picking up the mantle that their family had always done. In that story, the idea was that after Deadwood, he went and settled for a time in Canada because that's where Winona Earp takes place. And it's a very fun show. Crap, I forgot that happened. And I actually think Supernatural might have touched on it as well because I know there was a cult. There was a special demon slaying cult, but I forget who wielded it. I don't remember if a famous lawman did at that time or if it was always a Winchester brother, Winchester family weapon.
Okay. Well, if your fear is that we're cleaving too close to something that's already been done and probably done well, we could go back. Like, let's go back up and go look at Pecos Bill again because he's an American folk hero and there is stuff to mine there, like the digging up the Rio Grande and he lassoed the tornado, like stuff like that. That being he's this mythological character who's living off in the wilderness, and then something occurs where it's like there's only one man I know who can take care of this thing. We have to go find Pecos Bill. Maybe, yeah.
So in my mind, and I feel like there is a movie that did this, and I can't remember it. What I would want to do is I'd actually want to gather all of the sort of American folk heroes.
Oh, yeah.
I'm having deja vu. Right, so it'd be Pecos Bill, Paul Bunyan, John Henry, and then maybe a couple others, and then having them go on an adventure.
Sort of an LXG.
Yeah.
of American folk heroes. We might have even discussed this in some capacity when doing League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Well, okay, let's back up. Let's take a moment here.
Okay.
Let's go to Deadlands.
Okay.
What is it about Deadlands that you love? Now's your chance to geek out about it again.
Okay.
No, I'm just trying to find a place to. What do you want to do? What do you like about that setting? That as a setting is fun to do, and then we can find someone to stick in it, as opposed to working ourselves from a historical figure backwards. Go from the setting and put a historical figure in.
I actually feel like the demand isn't to do a Deadlands story with a historical figure.
Well, yeah, he says with using your love of Deadlands and the Weird West and the vein of Abraham Lincoln Vampire, choose a historical person or fit moment
and then make it weird.
And make it weird. Well, if making it weird
which
means
could be done in but that's
I'm saying if making it weird to you means turning it into a Deadlands like story.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Or I mean, that's exactly what we're doing, right? Like Wyatt Earp fighting the undead cowboys, or fighting werewolf cowboys outside or inside Tombstone at the OK Corral, and he has to go down into the Tombstone mine to mine some silver to then make his own bullets. There's a fun story there.
What about okay? You had said creating like a collective. The week that the first telegraph message was sent across America was the same week the Pony Express started, and so the Pony Express was racing technology to stay operating.
Sure.
Like as telegraphs and telegrams started going around, the Pony Express was still out there trying to deliver mail swiftly.
Yeah.
Now, the Pony Express had some pretty legendary cowboys amongst them. We potentially could use that as our team of cowboys. That they're just the postmen. They're just the Pony Express, but they're actually out there rooting and tooting, shooting up monsters and shit. Does that tickle anything for you?
It all tickles. It's all wonderful. I want to do all of these. Because we could also do Billy the Kid.
Buffalo Bill Cody, Wild Bill Hickok were both in the Pony Express. And there was a show that actually fictionalized all of this, starring Josh Brolin as Wild Bill and Stephen Baldwin as Buffalo Bill Cody when they were like 20. This is like a 90s show. And they, in the latter seasons, had Billy the Kid as a kid pre-outlaw kind of join the fun. But what with Billy the Kid, what would you want to do? Have him be a villain or be an anti-hero?
Probably more of an anti-hero type position, or even suggest that he was a hero, that the history books, it's the history they didn't know. They knew the kid that would shoot a man cold dead, but what they didn't know is Billy the Kid saved the West from Dracula.
I don't know, do we...
Which is a movie, and it's ridiculous.
Oh, that's a real thing?
Billy the Kid versus Dracula.
Oh my god! Should we lionize a notorious murderer that was Billy the Kid?
They did in Billy the Kid versus Dracula.
Yeah.
Oh God, I forgot about it. So when I learned about that movie, my friend Gene and I were just flipping through the channels at the time, and so we actually got to sort of the final scene. It's where Dracula is trying to attack the girl who's asleep in the bed, and Billy comes in the room and shoots his bullets at Dracula, and Dracula just laughs because the bullets do nothing. And then Billy throws the gun in classic 50s and 60s movie fashion, and it hits Dracula square in the nose, and he drops like a sack of potatoes. It was the funniest thing in the world. Because Dracula didn't see it coming. Oh, I got the hiccups now.
Oh my god, you are You are really hiccuping. This is for real.
Oh God, it was so funny. It was the funniest thing. Just laughing 1 second and
Ow!
And it's Dracula
Dick.
of all people.
Are you worried about using Wyatt Earp if it's too close to
No.
Winona Earp?
No.
Okay.
I just realized I had just remembered that it had been used in one way or another.
Creating a super team of gunslinger heroes going against some supernatural force.
Mm-hmm.
You like,
yeah.
okay. I think that could be fun too. We're basically coming up with some sort of Wild West Avengers, and giving them.
I was just thinking the Earps.
Just the Earps. Okay.
Yeah. It was the Earps versus. It starts with the Earps versus the Cowboys.
Oh, I see. Okay, we're going. I was expanding that idea.
You want it to be.
I was just asking. Just asking. Like, is that something? But you're saying just take the story of Wyatt Earp in Tombstone and zombify it.
Sort of, yeah.
Okay.
Because I also like the idea of building it out in a way that either in one whole movie he goes to all three locations, or build a potentially a trilogy
of
because I
Dodge City,
yeah, and Deadwood,
and then Deadwood. Was that the order? He did Tombstone and then Dodge City, and then okay. A trilogy of movies, a trilogy of
or another legend that has been touched on a bunch more in recent history, and it's nice to see him get more recognition as Bass Reeves.
Oh yeah, when I was just asking a moment ago about creating like a super team, Bass Reeves was on my mind already to say like Wild Bill, Buffalo Bill Cody, Wyatt Earp, Doc Holliday, Bass Reeves, Bat Masterson, Pat Garrett, like Geronimo, Calamity Jane. Like there's a slew.
Just take all of them.
Just like that's our gallery we can pull from. Who do we want in there? Jesse James, Billy the Kid. Like there's some other notorious figures that we could draw from. But if we're just thinking Tombstone, and looking like we could literally watch the movie Tombstone and then go, well, that now a zombie. That now a zombie.
Right. Pride and Prejudice and zombies.
Yeah, Wyatt Earp and zombies.
Yeah.
Because so there's Virgil, Morgan, James, and Wyatt are the Earp boys, and they moved to the boom town that was Tombstone. Wyatt Earp was deputized.
I believe initially they wanted to get into business.
Yeah, they were just seeking their fortune. They just showed up to work. They were just, hey, let's get our claim, and let's plot a claim and just live here. And then it was so wild that he was deputized. That I think Virgil was deputized too. No, his brother was the marshal and was just working like the gambling saloons and whatnot. And then the Cowboys rolled into town and were like, this is our town now. And then and that's when they started clashing with the Earps. And then the OK Corral happened. That was like the big, which we would, if we're going to introduce the Cowboys, okay, the Earps come to Tombstone. And it seems like everything's normal. We have little hints of something's rotten in Denmark happening, like little hints of supernaturally type things. Or we could go Dusk Till Dawn and just it suddenly happens. But then the Cowboys roll in and are like, rootin' and tootin', and the Earps are like, who are these SOBs? Conflict, fight, OK Corral is a big shootout. And then that's where the divergence happens, where it's like the OK Corral goes down, they gun down all these men, and then they come back.
Then they all just stand back up.
Something like that.
That was the initial thought. Yeah, it'd be something like that. How does that tickle you?
I think it would be fun.
There's a lot of tickling happening.
There's a lot of tickling here. The idea of following history as is for like the first 15 minutes, and then suddenly, and then now we get to deviate. Like Doc Holliday wasn't even introduced into Wyatt Earp's life until he had been, like, they weren't friends. trying to think when
I thought he was there at the OK Corral.
he was, but I'm trying to think how the two of them got connected and became like, because Doc got deputized as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really tapping into my Wyatt Earp knowledge here. But yeah, having the Earps just telling the story of Wyatt Earp up to like the turn at the end of Act 1 is we're fighting a supernatural force. Where's your head at there?
You want the OK Corral to be the end of Act 1?
The build up to that, kill the cowboys, and then, well, they're okay. So after the OK Corral, the cowboys did kill Virgil, the older brother, and then the Earps got a posse going, and they went and killed the people responsible. So they killed Curly Bill and they killed the bad guys, right?
Yeah, the Clantons.
Yeah, yes, yeah. We could just tell that's the story of Tombstone. Where in the story of Tombstone does the supernatural thing start happening? So that's why I'm saying if we lead up to the OK Corral, and that's the big Act 1 set piece, and now our supernatural movie starts from there. Now we can start fictionalizing everything.
I kind of want to get weird.
That is the demand, Jim.
Over the top weird with it sooner
weird
than that, right? Okay,
get even weirder.
So I guess our movie will be, if it's 3 acts. Act 1 is Tombstone. Act 2 is Dodge. Act 3 is Deadwood.
Oh, okay. Go on. I'm listening. So the OK Corral happens.
I'm thinking we meet Tombstone. We meet the town of Tombstone. Crap! It's a having your characters just sort of like sweep in and be the Deus Ex heroes right away. I don't know how that.
Dodge City was before
feels.
Tombstone. I'm sorry. Dodge City was before Tombstone. I'm so sorry.
Well, throw it all out.
Yeah, okay.
This whole episode is out of order.
Because that's where Doc and Wyatt Earp became friends, was in Dodge City.
In the movie Tombstone, they did not meet until
they became
until
friends.
the Oriental Saloon.
That's right. A very lovely saloon name. No, they were friends in Dodge City in Kansas, and then because Doc Holliday was a gunslinger, gambler. Yeah. That's where Wyatt Earp worked and cleaned up the town. And then when he went to Tombstone, Doc went with him to be like, yeah, I could retire. I can retire in Tombstone. I'm feeling a little coffee right now anyway. It's the TB. It's consumption.
TC, you're making me look like a terrible Western fan.
That's what I told you. I did a book report on Wyatt Earp when I was 10 years old. I remember I had a mustache.
Wow.
When I was 10.
When you were 10?
Yeah.
That's
it was
impressive.
real. I grew it. I loved Wyatt Earp so much I forced a mustache to grow on my upper lip at 10 years old.
That's impressive. That's very impressive.
Yeehaw. I'm sorry to ruin your story.
No, that's fine. It actually, the escalation will work better this way. I have less of an idea of what to do in Dodge. I was actually vamping a bit with Tombstone, and I was gonna be like, I don't know, I'll figure something out. Basically, I wanted to do with Tombstone. So maybe we can backfill here. In Tombstone, the OK Corral is not the quick gunfight between 5 lawmen and even 10 gang members. Instead, it was a town siege, and Wyatt Earp and the good folk of Tombstone had to hold off waves of the undead, a la Army of Darkness.
Yeah.
They're at the only place they could do it was there in the center of town at the OK Corral.
Is Dodge City still part of this story, or do they?
Yeah, that is now where it will start. That will be first act, and the clues and or MacGuffins they get there are going to send them to Tombstone.
Right.
And then from Tombstone, after they take out the cowboys, they're going to find out who's your Sauron. Our Sauron is in Deadwood.
Okay,
that's why it's called Deadwood.
Yes. Okay, now I like what you're doing here. So with Dodge City, okay, this will work. So I think you'll like this. So Dodge City was. Bat Masterson was the sheriff there. I remembered his name and I remember where he fit into the lore. When Wyatt Earp arrived, he martialized him to enforce how rowdy, like be an enforcer for how rowdy the town was.
Mm-hmm.
And then Doc Holliday showed up, and I should just look this up instead of trying to breeze through it. There was a showdown. There was nearly a showdown in town that was stopped by the gunfight was ended before a bullet was fired by Wyatt Earp. He stopped the battle from happening, and then Dodge City was settled after that. The mayor, blah 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 blah. So Dodge City doesn't have as dynamic of a story as Tombstone does.
What do you think about having the weirdness be more in the open?
Okay, go ahead.
So, think of something. I don't want to equate it to that I think throws it off too much. So what if we open on Dodge City, and we're panning through town. We're meeting the town, right? And it seems like a rowdy, because cattle. It was a rowdy cattle town.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Only as we like pass things like we pass the saloon and a couple of people get in a fight.
Mm-hmm.
Like all sorts of stuff. There's a piano player and poker's happening and people are drinking, having a good time, and then at the bar, two guys get to tussling, mm-hmm. and one of them, like one guy's like, they start getting into a fight,
mm-hmm.
and one guy tries to draw down on the other, and the other like quickly morphs like into whether it's a werewolf or a bear or something.
Yeah, a bear,
and like just like bites the guy's head,
yeah,
whips him around a little, drops him, and the bartender's like, "That's enough of that." And the guy turns back normal.
Yeah,
and the camera just moves on.
It's so just every day.
Just establish that weirdness is just a thing in this world.
Okay.
What do you think about something like that?
Yeah, I mean, if we're gonna get right into the weird of it, hell yeah. I mean, it's not. There won't be any sudden surprise of weirdness, so you do lose that. But what do you feel is gained by we're just gonna be weird from the beginning?
I like weird.
Yeah, I get that. But like
I don't know what's gained.
I like where your head's at. Let me play with that.
Sure.
If Dodge City seems perfectly normal, and Wyatt Earp proves his ability as a lawman, as a hero to that town with very little strangeness, mm-hmm. then when we get to Tombstone, seems to be a similar rowdiness that is then revealed to be zombie, werewolf, whatever we want it to be. Like the sudden escalation of what is this? Mm-hmm. Then when you get to Deadwood, that is just straight up open bear people. Like that's this like each. So you go from a pretty mundane Wild West world to one that reveals itself to be super strange to lead me to your Mordor. And Deadwood is the reason Deadwood is the one town that couldn't be cleaned up is because there's no hiding the fantastical there. So you
okay,
yeah,
I can get on board with that. I think.
But then that begs the question of, does our hero lose in this scenario? Because in history, Wyatt Earp couldn't clean up Deadwood. Not to jump to the end here, but just thinking about what we're doing with the story here.
My thought is I wanted to plant a thing, like actually invoking Lord of the Rings is kind of what I wanted to do. So Sauron, for the shorthand, Sauron lives in Deadwood.
Yeah.
So even after Wyatt Earp eventually gets there and eliminates Sauron, that doesn't mean that suddenly Mordor is going to be growing daisies and being a bed of roses. Mm-hmm. So, right. So basically what we do is Wyatt Earp doesn't leave Deadwood because he failed to clean it up. He leaves Deadwood because he took out the Dark Lord.
Yeah.
Deadwood will remain the dark cursed place it is.
Yeah. Maybe even going so far as some sort of maybe. How about this? What if there's a veil around Deadwood that people can't get into, and if they do, that like if it is in an open world of weird, but it is the reputation of it keeps people away. So everyone can be openly weird, like openly themselves there. The horribleness can just exist because no one's coming here, and anyone who does isn't going to live long enough to tell the tale about it. So it is this fabled, awful city, and everything you've heard isn't true. It's worse than you've heard. And so when Wyatt Earp destroys the leader of the town,
kills the devil,
he can't destroy the town. So then it's like, I will just curse this town to exist in this pocket, and now no one can come in and no one can come out. If we're like, as far as
I thought you were going to say the veil is dropped.
Well, that's an alternative way to go. Is that if to unleash hell on the world would be sort of the asking for a cliffhanger of an ending. It's like, I've defeated Deadwood. I've defeated the monsters in Deadwood, but now what have I unleashed on this world?
Oh, maybe I misunderstood what you meant by veil then. I didn't think it was keeping them in.
Well, I'm sort of going off the cuff. Obviously, I'm just rambling. But one of my suggestion was that the way this ends is he contains them with the veil is more of just this like, fog.
You're no longer a wereman. You're a werewolf bear thing.
No,
you're just a man now.
No. They can keep all their weirdness. They just can't leave. The veil is like a fog that surrounds the mountains that lead to Deadwood, and once you pass through there, you're entering a world of hurt. A world of hurt.
Sure.
So you had suggested that in defeating Tombstone to be like, who's your man? Like who's your daddy and what does he do?
Yeah.
That's like, you can find my master in Deadwood. Good luck as he crumbles to dust, or
in the shadow of Devil's Tower.
Ooh, Deadwood, and you're dead.
I don't know if they're actually close enough.
You
to each
would
other.
be dead if you went there.
I don't know that they're close enough to each other for that to be the case, but.
We're doing a movie about Wyatt Earp hunting monsters. We can put the Devil's Tower wherever we want.
That's true.
use the Team America World Police philosophy. I was like, yeah, it's Paris, Arc de Triomphe, Eiffel Tower, Baguette. It's all in one place. But again, I will default to your.
You don't have to do it. You are as much of a writer on this show as I am. I think that works.
Okay, so if we're breaking up this into 3-act structure, hitting the 3 cities, our Dodge City, is that a fairly short 15 minutes to introduce our characters and get them to Tombstone, and then a good portion of the movie exists there where we get up to the OK Corral, and you said it's more of a siege, right? That's what you suggested.
That's what I'm at, right? Especially if we set it up so that whatever Earp does in Dodge, agents scatter immediately, so Tombstone already knows he's coming. So whatever trick he does in Dodge won't work again.
I like that. Imagining him in a saloon and feeling like, I'm just here. I'm not looking to be a lawman. I just want to settle down with my family and get in a little tussle and punching the wrong guy who's like, oh, you have no idea this isn't Dodge City anymore.
Maybe I'm imagining we wouldn't touch too much on the whole. We wouldn't touch on the historical nature of we're trying to settle down or anything like that. We're pretty much going in with the Earps are on a quest to defeat this evil.
Okay, yeah, is it their cover that they're there? Like, we're just simple farmers. Bang bang.
Yeah. Oh, is there an opening for lawman these parts?
What is the monsters? Well, do you want to decide what type of monsters these are? And also then that begs the question of like, what is their? Okay. Could the monsters be some sort of? Oh, okay. Sorry. Two ideas happened at once. The monsters are not native to America, but when they got here a couple hundred years ago and started slowly spreading their way through
100
years ago through
well, no, actually, I guess I know what you mean. They're colonizers, like all the white people.
Yeah. They have been infecting and spreading their evil. they've left Europe behind to come to America and claim a new land and dig their claws into it. So then they sort of had a head start on claiming the West. Deadwood's going to be the furthest west here. I mean, at least in these 3 towns. Because Dodge City's in Kansas, Tombstone's in Texas.
Tombstone's in Arizona.
Oh, Tombstone's in Arizona. I didn't write that in my book report. And then Deadwood's in Colorado.
Oh, South Dakota. It doesn't matter.
That's all right. I'll Google it.
It's in the Dakota Territories.
South Dakota. South Dakota. Everyone calm down. It's in South Dakota, all right? Stop yelling at us. Jesus. We're doing our best. I'm trying to remember stuff from when I was 10 years old. That was 20 years ago.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, so, so these creatures, whatever they might be, vampires, werewolves, some undead nightmare. I just remember.
Traditionally, it's usually demons, right? There's a lot of biblical, supernatural Bible stuff tied to the Wild West. We don't have to do that. I kind of don't want to do that.
Great.
Because it's kind of expected.
Yeah. Have them be some sort of immortal monster. If there's something that you have in your head that it could be. Cool. They have been infecting the country, and now the Earps are working. Like, do they know about these things before Dodge City even, or did they discover them in Dodge City?
Well, that's why I was going to have the weird monsters be there already. Was they were going to show up? They're questing knights. Yeah, and they're here to destroy the evil.
They could even be descendants of knights.
They could be.
We're fictionalizing everything here. They could be.
They don't forget the face of their father.
Yeah, that's right.
That's a reference to Stephen King's Dark Tower for those who didn't get that.
But for those who did, well done. I don't know why we both leaned in.
Because you gotta lean.
We're speaking more
because
closely.
When you lean in, the audience they know you're talking specifically to them. When we're not here, we're up here and we're just talking to each other.
Yeah, but we're down here. We're talking.
No, yeah, we're talking to you.
Focus. I see what you say. I see what you're saying about the suggestion, that the weird is out there. The monsters exist. They're in the open, and they must be destroyed. And the Earps are the men who are doing that. Not to draw too heavily from Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, but that was a secret life that he was living.
It was. I'm not doing. Yeah. The weird I'm going for isn't secret. Yeah. It's just weird.
Okay. So if this is
if we want to do secret. Yes, what I think Dodge should have near to none of that, and it's when they get to Tombstone, the cowboys try to corner them there at the OK Corral, and it's a huge siege. It's not just they took out 16 cowboys died. Yeah. No, like or maybe it was, but they just kept not dying, and it. Really, I'm just kind of following. I'm not meaning to. I'm just following Lord of the Rings.
That's okay too. That's fine. Steal like an artist. Steal from the best. I want to do this. I don't want to start in Dodge City. I want Dodge City to have happened. They have left Dodge City. Tombstone is where our movie is going to start. They already did Dodge City, and they are coming into Tombstone, similar to Tombstone the movie. Like that's part of their history. That's part of the okay. And so when we can get to Tombstone, and they're letting the audience see hints of strange things, but not a bear man immediately. Just something. It's like some things are a little off. This is hard because people know the movie they're coming to see. So you can't. It's like Red Hulk isn't all the advertising. You know what I mean? Yeah. But let's just for the sake of telling a tale however we want to tell it. Dodge City has occurred. The Earps are coming in. We are just simple men. Yeah, we were lawmen back there. We cleaned up Dodge City. We're here. And then the cowboys are being scoundrels. There's something off about them. And when they finally confront Wyatt Earp, of all the things I'm going to reference, Scott Pilgrim versus the World. In the comic book, the first fight that's picked with Scott, there's just one word bubble is like, why would he pick a fight with Scott? Doesn't he know that Scott Pilgrim is the greatest fighter in the world? Like it's just this info drop that happens out of nowhere. It's like, wait, what? And then fight, and then that happens. To have the first confrontation with Wyatt Earp happened in this first 15 minutes or so. It was like, oh, you don't know who Wyatt Earp is? Yeah, you're the lawman. It's like, no. He has killed more vampires, werewolves, and mummies than any man in America. Something like that. Like that then the weird can kick off. Like, he's not just some guy who just found out about, like, oh no, I'm sorry, I guess my persona preceded me. I'm not a simple lawman cowpoke. I actually know what the hell I'm doing. Could I don't know, does that entice you at all? I don't know, you're making a face, so I can't. Can everyone hear the face that Jim is making right now?
My face is audible.
Your face is audible. He's scrutinizing my words.
Why do you want to do that?
To get to your weird faster and have our characters be I don't know, cooler. Like, I don't know. I'm really just throwing spaghetti everywhere right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
What don't you like about starting it in Dodge?
I was just trying to help you get to the weird stuff sooner.
Oh.
Yeah. We can start it, and we can do a 3-chapter story here. And are you considering Dodge the Shire in this scenario?
I keep thinking Prancing Pony.
Yeah.
Sort of, or even what was that? The mountaintop. I forget what that was called.
Weathertop.
Yeah. Sort of that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the Fellowship. I was thinking it's the Fellowship.
Mm-hmm.
Tombstone is Two Towers,
mm-hmm.
and
Return
of the King is Deadwood.
Yeah. Well, I'm okay. Then let's look at that structure,
mm-hmm.
and now let's insert Wyatt Earp into it and whatever weirdness you want to do. But go ahead and take a breath. I'm gonna throw it to a break right here so we can rally and come back to this. And see if we can't somehow take Wyatt Earp in the Weird West and lay it on top of Lord of the Rings and see what happens.
Sure.
Okay. We'll be right back after these messages from 65 News. Okay, here we go. We are back with Weird Wyatt Earp. Okay, so we took a little couple-minute break there to refresh our drinks. And, all right, how are we feeling, Jim? While you sit there contemplating life and all of its means. I did remember where we once before had a character going across the West meeting people. It was, I think it was in our... It was a guy who kept resetting. And he kept having...
Yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Or he kept trying to get across.
A Million Ways to Die in the West.
Million Ways to Die in the West. Yes, there it is. Yeah, thank you. Yes, that was it was the Million Ways to Die in the West where he was like, okay, I'm gonna learn how to do this from Pecos or from Wild Bill. I'm gonna learn how to gamble from him. I'm gonna learn how to wrangle a cow from Buffalo Bill Cody. Yeah. There it is. Million Ways to Die in the West. But okay, so I think structurally speaking, to introduce our characters in Dodge City and show them for the characters that they're, Wyatt being our leader of this family, and having him putting the kibosh on whatever's going on there, moving him to Tombstone, and then that's when things go for the strange, when the cowboys prove to be some sort of immortal monsters, and then heading to Deadwood to defeat their being that they're the leader of this. And I do want to put it on record that I verified the things that I could remember about Wyatt Earp from stretching through a memory. Deadwood is myth. There is no actual information about whether or not Wyatt Earp went to Deadwood. There's nothing that says he did. There's nothing that said he didn't. It's all hearsay because he retired in California and Alaska. Alaska, somewhere there. But all that said, going from Dodge City, Tombstone, things get weird, go to Deadwood and face the monsters head on. That could work. However, you've had some time, a couple minutes to think here as well. Where are you at with this, with Weird Wyatt Earp? Are we throwing Earp out the window, or are we?
No, we're not throwing him out the window. We're still going with it. Yeah. I'm thinking. I still think Dodge should be the opening act.
Yes. Yeah.
And he can show up already on a mission.
Mm-hmm. Hunting monsters.
Yes.
Great.
They don't need to be filling the town, but I want to show that the town is rowdy. And has maybe a few weird things going on. Part of that is because if we do want him to befriend Doc Holliday here, I kind of want Doc Holliday to be a revenant. to be undead.
Oh, okay, cool.
Right. So Doc Holliday is already one of these cursed men, but he's like Benjen Stark, right? So he has the curse, but he's using it to fight the evil.
He's returned from the dead. He's a revenants return after a long like they've been.
It's just a term. There doesn't have to be specific rules for it.
Okay. Revenant just means return in French. Whatever, it's fine.
Yeah.
But no. Okay. So Doc. Okay. Continue. I'm here. Yeah.
I'm thinking we do something like cursed silver and or gold is being spread. That is turning people into monsters.
Okay.
And the Earps show up to basically find the source of it and stop it. And they find someone who is spreading it about town. Probably, and in this case, like when they get it, we see that they sort of become hypnotized, and he's whoever this is kind of brainwashing them to be his followers, and that can be the gang leader that the mayor's like, you need to get out of town.
Yeah.
And Wyatt Earp and his brothers come into town, and maybe this evil mind controller like starts summoning all the people he's convinced with their gold, and
hypnotizing them with gold.
And it looks like this big battle or slaughter or whatever is about to happen. Maybe it's even a slaughter. Like he's like, you can't stop me. I've taken the town hostage, and it's literally he's about to turn everyone who's brainwashed, who's mind controlled, on the innocence of the town. And Earp does something like you probably wouldn't get close enough to just slap it out of his hands, but so maybe he just maybe he shoots, or Doc Holliday helps him shoot the chest, the small chest of coins out of this guy's hands, or maybe he has an amulet that it shatters and the magic is dispelled, and people are like, oh, and so that's why a war didn't actually break out. But in so doing, right, it's like, tell me who your master is. Well, that's not quite, because he needs to then be sent to Tombstone.
Yeah. Okay, keep going. I have a notion here to give this a specific tone and style, but I'll get to that in a second.
Okay. Crap.
Well, great. I took the wind out of your sails.
So we get that right away, right? We can get to the action pretty much right away.
Yeah.
What we don't have, I realized we didn't have, so I put a little bit thought there, and that's where this comes in. On traveling between Dodge and Tombstone, however we get sent to Tombstone, on that trip we have a flashback. We have a flashback to the Earp brothers back in Illinois.
Born and raised Monmouth, Illinois,
or maybe because
1848.
You also said Missouri. They were in Missouri for some time.
Yeah.
Basically, they initially discover this cursed gold or silver, and so basically through flashback we can show the call to action, the decision to become the hero.
What about like a gold silver mix? Like it's these tokens that are gold and silver, and
sure,
just to make them that much more easily spotted, like these are special coins. They don't just look like gold doubloons or gold coins. There's like a swirl of silver and gold together.
Sure.
Yeah. So going back in time, seeing them as young men, even like teenagers.
Sure.
And getting their first like, this is our destiny. This is what we're going to do. Do you think that the monsters within this world that they're going to face are all one type of monster, or do you like the idea that this is a world with multiple types of monsters?
Multiple.
Okay.
I also don't. I want them. I would want them to be different types of monsters, but I don't want it to be where there's like taxonomy, like that is a vampire, we must use garlic, and that is a werewolf, we must use silver. Like I just want them to be either undead or crazy monsters.
I think so. This, did you see or read Doctor Sleep, which is the sequel to The Shining?
I saw it. Yeah.
So they are not vampires in Doctor Sleep. They are cannibalistic predators that are nomadic. They're immortal. That they have psychic abilities. That they have an evil version of the Shining.
I mean, they're vampires.
They're vampires, but they're not being killed by garlic. They're not being killed by sunlight. They're not being killed, like, hurt by crosses.
Yeah, they're a particular different type of monster.
Right. And so to you say, let's not use vampire, kill with silver and all that. I agree. I want to create some sort of creature that is likened to, but not specifically that. So like the true knot in Doctor Sleep, you could call them vampires, but they don't follow any of the traditional folklore rules of silver and cross like it.
Sure.
In a world with multiple types of monsters, that just gives us an opportunity, especially when we get to Deadwood, to experience all types. That opens up the floodgates of anything we want to put in there. We can put in there.
It ruins the through. So initially, the idea of the cursed money was supposed to be the through line that they follow, like follow the money.
Yeah.
But actually, I kind of like the idea of the mind controller. Rather than calling him a sorcerer or something like that, he's a snake oil salesman.
Yeah.
So he was selling elixirs.
So follow the elixir to the next town.
Well, but then we'd have. I don't want to have to follow the same MacGuffin each time.
So after they clean up Dodge.
Yeah.
Get the hell out of Dodge, people. Gunsmoke will be set here. It'll be great. The TV show, whatever, it's fine. What moves them from Dodge to Tombstone?
No, crap. Okay. I want to do a little more than just that, and I want there to be a fight. I know you said that.
No, fight it up.
So there can be this guy with mind control elixir. I think that there are other bad guys here. That allows us to eventually show that Doc Holliday is undead because he gets shot dead three different times. We can have the mind control thing. We can have a few different guys. I like the idea of then utilizing it's cheesy, but using the phrase "get the hell out of Dodge."
Yeah.
Right. That normally means we need to move quickly out of Dodge, but instead,
get the hell out of Dodge. Ooh.
Wyatt Earp chased the hell out of Dodge.
Now I love that, and I just thought of something. The reason, so in Dodge City, the gunfight with no bullets fired that Wyatt Earp won it. He didn't not fight. He just utilized pistol whipping. Like he beat the shit out of people without firing his gun, but he used his gun. And I'm just imagining an action sequence of him just like, I don't even need to fire a bullet, and he sons of bitches, and just starts beating people like John Wick, but like not firing. You know what I mean? Just making quick work of these guys.
Yeah.
Is Matthew Vaughn available to direct this?
Yes.
So I like what we're doing here, but how do we get to Tombstone? Because Tombstone's going to be, I like what we're doing in Dodge here. This is great. Get the hell out of Dodge is pretty fun.
But by having more bad guys as the hell is getting out of Dodge, it's running to the four corners, right? So I imagine either the one they decide to chase, or slash the one that got away, that thus they have to chase them, or just the lead that they get leads back to Tombstone.
With a harbinger telling people like the Earps are coming,
sure.
And then if they come into town trying to put up their front of like, hey, let's same thing we did every time. We just roll into town like we're simple farmers who just are not here for any trouble. But our reputation is going to precede us. No, we took care of that. Like they think they're going to come in and be the normies again.
And that trip is where we get the flashback.
And then when they get to Tombstone, very quickly falls apart because it's like the the Forerunner got there to be like, the Earps are coming.
Mm-hmm. And very quickly, the cowboys, a small army of the undead.
Oh,
like these ones I see being like the last town was a bunch of weirdos.
Yes.
Who exhibit strange abilities,
mm-hmm.
but are not themselves strange.
Mm-hmm.
And then here in Tombstone, it's a slew of undead.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, yes, I like.
And so the reason they can go there, the reason they chase, the reason the elixir,
mm-hmm.
They get the elixir guy, and they're like, "Where'd you get this elixir?" And he's all like, "I got it. I got it in a strange well outside
mm-hmm.
of Tombstone."
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same stuff that is reanimating the cowboys.
Yeah, yeah. Like that's what they're juicing on. That's their venom. That's their
Yeah.
Here's a suggestion. They know one that got away and fled to Tombstone, and the Earps are coming into town to get that guy. And in confronting the one that the straggler that got away, that straggler is the one who went to the cowboys specifically, be like, the Earps are after me. They just killed us all in Dodge. It's like, well, we'll take care of it, friendo. So that the Earps think they're just coming to town to get the loose end, not realizing they're walking into a much bigger fight than they had anticipated. So they're like, hey, we're here for Joe Schmo over here. And it's like, no, I don't think you know what town you're in. Oh, who are you? I'm leader of the Cowboys.
My only so what I'm trying to avoid that
mm-hmm.
I feel like this leans into,
mm-hmm.
I'm trying to avoid it being episodic.
Oh, okay. I see. That's fair. That's fair. And I am kind of pushing it that way.
Mm-hmm.
So tie it for me differently then. So connect me to Tombstone. The Cowboys, how connected are they to Dodge City then?
I guess only mildly.
Right.
I haven't committed to the MacGuffin, to the through line yet.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Originally, it was the cursed money.
Mm-hmm.
So the cursed money from Dodge, like, oh, we got it from Tombstone. It's being dug up there, and then they go there, and it's like, oh, it's not only here.
Mm-hmm.
Our true master
mm-hmm.
is in Deadwood.
Is in Deadwood.
The true cursed coin.
Mm-hmm.
We merely mix it in with the silver here for spice. I don't know for to be determined.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Not great, but that was the thought. The second thought being the mind control elixir comes from here.
Mm-hmm.
Because, and then ultimately, why does it come from here? I don't know. Because then we need a different MacGuffin to go from Tombstone to Deadwood.
To Deadwood, yeah.
Which is still kind of episodic. I don't really have a through line. So I'm sorry.
No, don't apologize.
I am sorry.
You should apologize. Okay. Following, like cleaning up Dodge and then moving to Tombstone, it could be following the stragglers that they know escaped that way. It could be following the money, like especially if they realize the markers, the tokens that they've been following have infected. Like it's a gambling saloon in Dodge City, and they opened up a gambling saloon in Tombstone.
Sure.
Like that's what Wyatt Earp opened, was a saloon with gambling in it. So if following the money really is the case, anytime those coins are collected en masse, that's when.
So Swearingen, our villain.
Yeah, I mean, he's not a real. He was a real person. He was a real person. We'll see how much we want to actually touch Deadwood in the capacity of the lore that exists in the HBO series, which is a very good series. But anytime the amassing of these tokens exists in a city, that's when the city is truly infected by the
gambling, the real sin.
Never mind. Gambling's not a problem. I don't want to message it like I'm saying gambling's bad. Whoring's bad. That's the real. You all need Jesus. Have you all accepted Jesus Christ as your personal Lord? And bang!
We're fine with odds, not with sex.
Going through the whole of Tombstone to just say like what's the source of this? One way we could do this to link to create the path they have to follow is if one of the Earp boys is essentially the brains or the researcher, the one who is like mapping out their quest and saying like the next place we have to go is here. I've gotten enough information to go here. I got enough information to go here. He's the one following the trail. If there's like, you know what I mean? Like if there's an Egon of the group who's like, I've done all the mathematics on this, and we now know through beating the shit out of these guys that Deadwood is the final destination.
Maybe. I also think Wyatt and Doc Holliday are the only ones who make it out of Tombstone.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah. Then it's
As far as going to Deadwood, either we get an info dump through them defeating the Cowboys, or it probably even, I don't know if it's even better, but the idea of the Vendetta ride, going up to Deadwood.
Going to Deadwood, yeah, that's not bad.
That's where the remaining undead cowboys are fleeing to
their fortress city.
Yeah.
Behind this veil that keeps people from going in or ever coming out.
Sure.
So then it's because then it's Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday for our finale. Like they're coming in. It's just the two of them. Doc is already. He's okay. Now I'm it's starting to form a good finale here.
And now we can go really off the beaten path. What do you think about Deadwood being like it's a city ringed in dead trees?
Deadwood,
it is essentially like a hellish town on Earth.
Yeah, it's some sort of hellmouth. Like it.
No, that doesn't do much for them making any allies there, right? Like we can't really get Seth. I think it'd be harder to incorporate like Seth Bullock, although I don't think he was there. Well, I don't know when he would have. Well, Wyatt Earp never went to Deadwood.
Allegedly,
yeah.
If the show's legend, if the legend has been put into the show has told us that Bullock and Wyatt Earp met. I don't think it's smart of us to use Deadwood the show as our true north of how to tell the story of Deadwood. I think once we
we're not. I'm merely referencing it because it used all historical characters.
Sure. Yeah.
So Seth Bullock was a real person. Calamity Jane
was there.
Real person. I feel like it would be a sin to reference Deadwood and not bring up Wild Bill Hickok.
Well, since we've already brought one person back from the dead, it would be cool to have Wild Bill come back and help him out. Like Doc Holliday could even suggest, I have a friend who I know who can help us out very kindly.
So
he might not be so much interested, but I think we can dig.
So we're definitely going to mess with history, as in like Wild Bill died before the
Wild Bill died in Deadwood, and now as Doc and Wyatt are rolling into town, like we're gonna have a hard time finding allies here. I know, man. I could dig up a friend or two, and then Wild Bill he's not a revenant. He could be some other sort of supernatural thing that can be an additional ally for them to fight alongside in the end. We can't spend too much time with them getting a posse because we're moving into the third act, and I'm willing to suggest maybe we introduce a character in the third act, or if we want to have them cross paths in Dodge City with another hunter, like if say Calamity Jane is another traveling soldier.
I don't know if they crossed paths in Dodge. I do know that Wild Bill had he himself was a lawman across the West.
At
different times as well. I'm not going to look it up.
What are you curious about?
If Wild Bill and Wyatt Earp had ever crossed paths previously.
I'll use Google to find out.
Or if Wild Bill was even a lawman anywhere near Dodge at any point.
But having him, I like the idea of raising him from the dead in some capacity, to have him fight alongside them. But I was saying in Dodge City, or at some point crossing paths with Calamity Jane, as she's some sort of traveling fighter as well, so that she can come back in the third act to be another ally.
Sure. But that's what I was going to say. If Wild Bill was a lawman at some point, we could have a posse come together in that first act, and then like, we sure did get the hell out of Dodge. Bye. And everyone kind of, or they could even, like, if we have them all team up there, and then the remaining bad guys scatter to the four winds. then each group could be like, we're going to chase them, we're going to chase them.
Mhm.
And that's why Wyatt and Holiday choose Tombstone. Because Hickok and Jane chose the guy that was going toward Deadwood.
Well,
yeah. We're definitely not following actual history. We're not following.
You're telling me there weren't undead vampire monster creatures?
No, but I mean, having all of these people cross paths.
Listen, okay, Wyatt Earp and Bill Hickok did meet.
When?
They did meet. They met in the late 1860s in South Dakota, in Deadwood. In South Dakota. Wild Bill had been living in Deadwood, where he was serving as a lawman in Deadwood. Wyatt Earp was also in Deadwood for a short period of time, either visiting or passing through after his time in Tombstone. It is believed that Earp and Hickok might have interacted briefly, but there's no clear documented record of this detailed encounter. They likely knew each other by reputation and may have exchanged a few words and possibly even worked together in some capacity as Earp passed through South Dakota. But by the time Wyatt Earp became more famous in Tombstone, Wild Bill Hickok was already killed in Deadwood. So their paths didn't cross in any major way during Earp's well-known years. So conflicting reports here, but that's a brief Google search about whether or not they have met. It's believed that they did. It's just unclear when.
Okay.
So you're suggesting that we have a couple heroes at the beginning that in Dodge. So like,
yeah,
Hickok and Calamity Jane are involved with Wyatt Earp and the Earp boys and meeting Doc Holliday. They meet Doc Holliday in Dodge City. Then they separate, and then when they reconvene in Deadwood, what
I'd probably do, on their way up there, on their way up to Deadwood, outside of Deadwood, right, outside of the evil town territory.
Yeah.
They meet up with Calamity Jane, who has recently buried Wild Bill.
Where'd you bury him? Well, great.
Something like that.
We'll dig him up.
Something like that. Or he's not dead yet, and he will die in this third act.
No, I want another supernatural hero.
Okay.
And I lost my thought. Go ahead, you talk.
Well, the only thing was an alternative even to that is we don't see them in Act 1 when Wyatt and Doc get to Deadwood, even though it is this vile place of unnatural things right out in open daylight. Wild Bill is the sheriff, and he gives them a stern talking to, like, things may seem odd here, but there's an order, and I won't have you messing up that order.
Okay.
But order already things are already sort of getting out of sorts. What with this vendetta and the mess that happened in Dodge, and so the powers that be assassinate Wild Bill.
Okay. If we want to see Wild Bill die in this, if that's what you're going for, I want to maintain that when they get to Deadwood, it is a hellmouth. Like, that is just, they're crossing into hell.
Okay.
However, if I like the idea of introducing Wild Bill and Calamity Jane in the opening of the movie, that these guys are working together and then they go separate ways, because we can write a B plot of following Wild Bill and Calamity Jane and seeing a subplot of them getting to Deadwood, and you can have Wild Bill show up in Deadwood and go, I'm going to be the law in this part of town. There's going to be an order, and we can see him get killed. And Calamity Jane seemingly get killed, so that when she appears in the third act, she's like, he died. We tried to fight and we lost. We tend to write single narratives.
Yeah.
We write single perspective narratives.
That's true.
And so to create a movie that allows a different, like a subplot B story of two other heroes, could be fun.
Okay.
Because then we can do more in this world than just follow the Earps from A to B to C.
I think also she doesn't just bury him and is sad, and then Doc Holliday says, let's raise him.
Right.
I think she should already have that plan. She buries him in unhallowed ground. So right there in the Deadwood dirt.
Yeah. So
and that's what raises him. So then we can maybe even have a little scene where he's frenzying and rabid, and they have to kind of calm him down as basically he attacks them.
Yeah. So then our finale is these 4 characters now.
Yeah.
I don't mind that. I'd still love to see like.
And the villain is a giant knight with a ring.
The Green Knight. What are we doing here?
No,
Oh no! It's sorry. Bass Reeves and Geronimo were 2 other characters I was trying to figure out a way to work into this story at some point, because it's just 2 other legends of the Wild West who were not the most typical of heroes.
Yeah. I would love to work in the First Peoples Nations.
Yeah, that's sort of what I was thinking as well, with having Geronimo involved.
But I'm worried about not doing them justice.
Sure. Well, assuming we could find someone to make sure we pay respects to the First Nations people, so assume we can do that. How would you want to insert a character into the story?
Even there, I don't know, because I don't know of Wyatt. Because initially we started with Wyatt Earp, right? Well, actually, all the stories that we've chosen to tell don't involve, as far as I know, don't involve any native peoples centrally. So it would be us. Granted, we already are taking characters and plucking them and putting them elsewhere.
But I don't want to use the First Nation myths for our story inappropriately.
Yeah.
So, like, it would feel like misappropriation of legends, right?
Yeah.
But finding a way to have having First Nation people involved, there could essentially, we could have Bass Reeves, or we could have Geronimo. We could have a character with Wild Bill and Calamity Jane that go 3 directions, right? Like we could have multiple plots going in this if we wanted to spread this story out.
Sure.
Even more so. I think we risk having too much in one movie in doing that. So then it would be a matter of, well, maybe Wild Bill, Calamity Jane, and a First Nation character are together. And we follow see those 3, Wild Earp, Holiday, and the Earp brothers are on their A plot.
Sure. I feel I don't know enough about Geronimo. I don't know enough about where he was and what he did, and it just feels exploitative.
Yeah, that's my fear. That's my fear of putting them. But also, I don't want to not have them. Yeah. So
the place, it's small. It's almost more of a cameo size thing. Would be during the Vendetta run. Yeah. Going from Tombstone to Deadwood. Yeah. Because that's a long ride. Wyatt and Doc have an encounter with them, and
some more lore could be dropped there.
Sure.
Not to use them in any sort of exploitive fashion of, like, talking over fire and hearing the history of First Nation, but there could be an opportunity. Let's say this. Let's put a pin in this. Let's not try to worry too much about our white guilt right now, and just say we do want to work the First Nation into this story somehow. Yeah, that's probably the best place for it. Finding the most respectful way to insert them into the story is what is an assignment for us, were we to develop this script further.
Sure.
That said, our villain, our final big bad guy here,
Al Swearingen.
Well, do we want it to be a historical figure? Do we want it to be like a Spanish conquistador who has been doing this the whole time? Like, what? Sure. Who do, like, some more centuries old evil that has infested the Wild West? I'm throwing these out as examples of something that if any of them make your eyes light up, I'll stop there. Is it Jesse James in Surprise? He's a handsome, romantic, evil man. It's Brad Pitt.
What about the devil?
Just make it straight up the devil?
like your notion of the conquistador is
Yeah.
kind of interesting, but what if it's not that? What if it's what if it's a Puritan? Like imagine the devil.
Oh, yeah.
The
Okay.
devil in a Puritan outfit
Yes.
has holed up in evil hellmouth Deadwood
Oh, yeah.
and is spreading monstrous evil from there.
Yes, I like this notion of he looks like freaking on your some sort of pilgrim looking guy who's
buckle hat and shoes.
Yeah, like this son of a what the hell is this monster? Like, I'm evil. Is Mark Strong available? He plays evil really well. Some sort of revolutionary pre-revolution, right? No, about that era, like the 1500s.
The Puritans?
Puritan era? No?
That's earlier.
1400s?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Wait. No, that's Pilgrims. Yeah, I guess Puritans would have been 1500s, but that's not revolutionary time. Revolutionary time is 1700s.
Well, whatever the case, having some sort of like puritanical.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, so that's the look of this character, but they've just been spreading evil, so there's nothing but like monstrous debauchery surrounding this
right now. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just suddenly imagine Tim Curry's him from Legend, just the big red horns. I know that's not the Puritan look here.
I'm honestly imagining more Gary Oldman from Dracula, but in a Puritan outfit and goat legs,
Yeah.
basically walking down the street of Deadwood with an upside down Bible,
and just people like
quoting unholy scripture as people commit every sort of sin around him.
How do our heroes fight that? Like not only getting into
with
Deadwood,
the Second Amendment.
and that's how the movie ends. And that was the formation of the Second Amendment. Up until that point, it wasn't even in there.
No,
it went 1 to 3. They bumped everything up. It was
yeah.
the First Amendment, and the Third Amendment used to be the Second Amendment.
It's true. And they're like, we can't put this one at the end. That's how important it is.
Yeah. We can't add it to the bottom. We have to put it at the top. Well, what about freedom of speech? Fine, we'll make it number 2. Bang, 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 pew, pew. No, I like the challenge here that we're coming in with gunslingers with the ability to fight monsters.
So I didn't say anything the whole time because I don't know how to really propose it without it sounding super cheesy. Because I don't want to necessarily give Wyatt Earp God powers.
Sure.
I don't want to I call down Jesus.
Again, I don't want that sort of messaging in here. Gambling good, Jesus bad. That's what I'm going for here.
Oh, gotcha.
But you're saying some sort of
right, like because basically he's the for us he's kind of the embodiment of law and order. I don't care for the notion, but the taming of the West, if you will. So
okay,
so that like he comes into Dodge and has some sort of righteous ability. I don't like it as much. Even saying it out loud,
I'm going to suggest something, and we're verging into Dark Tower territory because Roland is a descendant of King Arthur, correct? Mm-hmm. What if we, in our rewriting of whatever history we want to do here, that Wyatt Earp and the Earp boys are descendants of Sir Galahad, the most loyal of King Arthur's knights, and their lineage has Merlin-esque like access to artifacts and powers that I'm moving into like Constantine and Jonah Hex and Buffy territory here, but that they have like their fail-safe weaponry that they have to use for this final confrontation, like literally throwing Earp in like a chest plate of armor kind of thing, like Galahad's armor. I'm just bullshitting here. I'm just putting it out there because you're right. Some sort of magic is what you're asking for, and you're right.
Yeah.
Suggesting that sounds cheesy, but if we, like Jonah Hex in the comics, to tangent for a second, his ability is any weapon he picks up has ammo in it. That's his
That's
power.
it? That's his power?
That's
a cool power.
in a variation of Jonah Hex, that's his power. He always has ammo. And so he never has to reload. So having Wyatt Earp have some sort of magical thing here. We have a Revenant And Doc Holliday could be like, I can only go so far, and unless risking ripping myself from this plane of existence. But in the final battle, I have no choice. He might have to sacrifice and die in the final battle because he finally uses all of his unliving power. Wild Bill, he's got 24 hours. He has 24 hours left. Like once he's raised, he only has 24 hours to get back to his grave, and he will be gone. Calamity Jane could have some sort of
trouble powers.
Trouble powers. Yeah. She's such a calamity. She's Domino from Deadpool 2. And giving Wyatt some sort of collection of all the weaponry that his brothers have left behind as they've died, so that he's got his magic stuff, right? That ramble. Is that what you're thinking?
Sort of, yeah.
It just would be a matter of, like Voltron, why not just use the sword immediately? There has to be a reason that now is the time to use these, and I could only use them now.
Like Voltron, we never actually say that, and we use it when we think is appropriate.
Why didn't he use this before? All the fights would have been over so soon.
What a fun movie he wrote.
I don't want to give him the weapon just before he gets there. This should be something he's always had, and he's finally just tapping into his fullest potential. That allows him to face this devil. That it comes down to Wyatt versus the devil in Deadwood, and this devil has existed for centuries and is so powerful. So now we have a great underdog here. We just need to know, what does Wyatt have that's going to let him win?
I actually don't like when movies do this, but I'll say it to get it out of the way.
All right, I'll hate it too. Let's hate it together.
The way he wins is by not fighting. Right? It starts like he's shooting the devil, and the devil's just laughing because he's playing right into the devil's hands. Mm-hmm. He's giving in to his vengeance, his bloodlust, his vainglory, all of these things. And it's not until Wyatt realizes the way to defeat the devil is to give up the devil's tools. And so he surrenders his guns.
And is he going in fisticuffs?
No. Like literally, he beats him
without fighting.
With peace.
Ooh, I mean
the peacemaker was in us all along.
that does cleave close to the legend of Wyatt Earp as this man who stopped a gunfight without firing a bullet. He pistol whipped everybody. Mm-hmm. Who cleaned up Dodge and Tombstone without ever getting a scar in his body. That he was one of the ultimate lawmen in American history. I'm sure someone out there has written an expose that he's actually a horrible, horrible racist.
Yeah. Right. He doesn't shoot the devil. He arrests him.
You have the right to remain silent.
You will have your day in court. I
have the right to bear arms, but I don't have to use them.
Yeah, there you go. So I don't unless there's some super cool climactic way. Like the devil gets evaporated in a sky beam or something.
Oh, sky beam. But in this final entering the town, confronting the army, facing off against the villains, shoot them up. Big final Return of the Jedi ending here. It does come down to Wyatt versus this devil. Mm-hmm. Correct. We all agree on that.
Yep.
And then it's just a matter of how does he defeat him. And I'm repeating that because that's what we just went over, but I'm collecting my thoughts out loud for good radio.
I said I was going to bring it back.
Yep.
He hits him with the hate train.
Oh, wow. You got him right back on the tracks.
I did.
Wow.
I did.
Good job. None of us saw it coming. He calls the hell train from the Lone Ranger, and it comes out of the mist and just runs the.
And then we do a comic book graphic with the little asterisk that says "C issue so and so."
See the 5-minute mark in the.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I got something.
Okay, go for it.
You got something?
I think I have.
You got something? Okay, rock paper scissors. See who pitches it first.
Oh, we go.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Okay, Jim wins.
Okay.
Did everyone follow that? I lost the first one. All right, go ahead.
So, right, they fight. And the thing is, they got to fight the whole town. It's not just this one guy walking through the street. Like they even find when they shoot the devil, it hits someone else, like someone far off, like takes the bullet kind of thing. And the heroes are going down until it's just Earp in the street with the devil, and all of his demons are closing in. All of the devil's demons are closing in. And a thing we start planting early on is each of our characters has essentially a totem or a token. And in the end, Wyatt drops his gun and pulls out the tokens and like holds them and we'll say praise, but essentially summons the spirits of all of his dead friends. Yeah. So he does Voltron in a sense at the end. Basically, we see their spirits kind of rise at his side and all kind of come together and shoot one big god gun or something like that. Okay. Something that's kind of cheesy. I'd want to suss that out, but that's the gist of what I'm thinking here. Right? And the devil's like, no! and then he gets killed by a skybeam.
Okay. Okay. I think you might be onto something. Here's my pitch for it. All right. It's a little variation of that where they're going in. They are fighting their way through. They kind of have a good volley at first, but then they start getting defeated. We watch Doc Holliday lose the last of his abilities. We see Wild Bill is the sun is setting or sun is rising, and he's gonna have to go back to the great calamity. And there's Wyatt. His brothers are trying to speak to him from beyond, and he is running out of ammo, and he is down to his final bullets, and they're gonna lose. And I don't know how to plant this early and how to pull this off exactly, but he has a full new supply of bullets in his possession, and it's all the gold and silver coins melted into bullets, and he loads up and starts ripping through them all with their own coins. Something about the tokens that created the evil to everywhere they went have been melted into bullets, and he just loads up and just starts going ham on the town with their own tokens as the bullets. Bang, 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 bang. And the devil's like, what's happening? How is this working? Because he's basically using the devil's own weapons against all his people. And now we have a gunfighter. Just going, the end of the Gunslinger, the first book, where Roland kills an entire town of people. That's what you want to do? Wyatt is taking out.
He kills all of Deadwood?
All of them. Yeah. And then it's him, the devil, with the last few bullets. And then he can, and then once he's wounded the devil, then they fight. Then they punch each other to death. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to punch. I don't.
Okay, he doesn't have to punch him to death.
Out.
But what do you think of the silver gold bullets?
That's not bad. What if we just planned that earlier on? That's a part of the Vendetta run. They're like, we're going to kill all, and so they've been doing it, and they shoot through the town. That's the entire, basically, third act. Yeah. Is we got these bullets, and we're going to put them in all these devils.
Okay.
But they don't work on the devil himself. And it is, he has to summon the spirits of his dead friends to shoot a soul bullet through. Like, I know the description is terrible, but in my mind, my mind's eye, I can kind of see it, like right, like his brothers show up ethereally behind him and put their hands on his shoulder as he, like, I don't know, something
they're
like
all
that.
shooting, the right swell of a score will do it. Yeah. There's a soul bullet, like one single bullet goes, and it grows and grows and grows, and just hits him like a giant bullet bill. Yeah, and the devil just explodes.
So I like that idea, but I probably sold it poorly.
Soul bullet's good. I don't mind it. I like it.
Just because I don't think the devil would be taken out by his own handiwork.
Okay. Well, everyone else is taken out by those gold silver bullets.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Okay. Yeah.
Do your this for the any last thoughts thing.
Yeah. You're gonna let you have any last thoughts? Okay.
I do.
You do?
Yeah.
Do you want to save it for that?
That's what I was going to do.
Okay, all right. Okay. Caleb, how did we do? How did we do, everyone? This is what wait. I think we're gonna wrap it up here. Where are my notes? I want to make sure I get everyone's name correctly here. Caleb Tran and Jackson. There you go. Weird West, folks. How did we do? You got to let us know. Yeah. Gosh, this is Weird West. Okay. I think that's going to handle it for the demand today. Hit us up if you agree or disagree, or if we missed something, or if we head down the wrong trail there. You can message us directly at studiodemandsit.com or on Instagram at studiodemandsit. Find the post for this episode and feel free to comment there. And if you're not already, please subscribe. Doesn't take it. Just go click a button. You can do that thing where you subscribe to a podcast and then you never listen to it, okay? You're not going to listen to Pod Save America. You're too far behind. Add us to that list.
But do you have to listen to all of them?
Well, if you subscribe, you don't, I'm saying.
Oh,
you
okay.
can just subscribe and not
I'm
listen.
saying Pod Save America. Are they not episodic? Is that serial?
It is.
It's just one big...
How do you follow American history?
Oh.
Okay? All right. Anyway, and if you feel like giving us a little 5-star review, you can do that in the podcatcher of your choice, and it helps us in the algorithm. You can find us on YouTube and TikTok, where we post video content, including material not heard on the show. Jim?
You can also join the conversation at on Reddit at r/StudioDemandsIt, as well as on our Discord. You can go to our website, studiodemandsit.com, and there at the top there is a link to an invite to come to our Discord page.
There you go. And if you want even more, you can head over to Patreon for a couple bucks a month. You can get episodes early, bonus extended length episodes, commercial-free episodes, movie commentary tracks, and you can also show some love by just subscribing for free. And a massive thank you to 6.5 Media, because they are the reason we are here. Thank you, 6.5
Thank you so
for
much.
everything you do. Yeah, Jim.
Final thoughts. I think we overdid it. I think there's an amazing movie just in Dodge City.
Just in Dodge.
Dodge City, get the hell out. That's the tagline.
that's it.
The movie's called Dodge City. Tagline: Get the hell out.
Yeah.
And we do pretty much our first act as a whole movie.
Yeah.
Wyatt Earp shows up, learns about the crazy stuff happening in the town, and it's supernatural and evil.
Yeah.
And he has to team up with Doc Holliday to kick hell out.
If you're going to
kick all the monsters out.
all the monsters out. So Wyatt Earp shows up Dodge City. There's supernatural forces. He gets the hell out.
Yep.
Yeah, cool. If you're going to recommend this episode to anyone, just tell them to go to the hour 50 mark, and they will love what we just pitched.
I was so excited about the siege at OK Corral that I really wanted to get that from so much. But here, as we crafted this final the final act, I was like, oh crap! Our first act alone it's actually really good. Just flesh that out.
Agree or disagree? We might have 3 movies here, which is what you had even floated way earlier than this. It was like Dodge City's a movie, Tombstone's a movie, and Deadwood's a movie.
We do that so often, though, that I was like, let's just make one.
Let's just make one. We're not going to get a chance. No one's going to greenlight a second Western movie, Jim.
No.
Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter ended there.
It did.
Yeah.
He killed all the vampires, didn't he?
Yeah, but then he went to Ford Theater. There wasn't more story to tell. So, yeah. Was that a spoiler?
Unless it was Abraham Lincoln Vampire, Hunter.
You're talking to a guy. Who was that? That's Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. All right, thank you, everybody. Let us know what you think of all that. We're just going to end here. That's it. Goodbye, Jim.
Goodbye.
That's
Goodbye,
all.
TC.
Goodbye. Here we go.
Goodbye, audience.